হয়, এটার উত্তর দিতে পারবেন? আপনাদের মধ্যে কেউ আছেন বলতে পারবেন যে গাছ কেন গোল হয়ে ওঠে এই পৃথিবীতে জন্ম নেয়? সেটার জবাব কিন্তু আমরা তখনই বুঝতে পেরেছি যে বিজ্ঞানের কতটা আজকে গুরুত্ব আছে। বিজ্ঞান এমন একটা জিনিস, আজকে সমস্ত জায়গাতেই সিদ্ধান্ত মোতাবেক সবারই আলাদা নির্দেশিত পথ আজকে দিয়েছে, যেখান দিয়ে আজকে আমরা তারা তৈরি করতে পারি। তো আমি আপনাদের জানিয়ে রাখি, আজকে এই যে বিজ্ঞান সম্পর্কিত আলোচনায় আজকে আপনাদের সামনে আজকে আমাদের দপ্তরের তরফ থেকে আপনাদের কাছে জানাতে এসেছি। মূলত বিষয়টা হচ্ছে এটাই যে মানুষ সুদীর্ঘকাল ধরে জগৎ এবং জীবনের জটিল রহস্য স্বরূপ উন্মোচনের চেষ্টা করে আসছে। জটিল রহস্যগুলো মানুষই ঠিক করে আসছে, কিভাবে আজকে মানুষ এগিয়ে যাবে। আর যা কিছু তৈরি হয়েছে সবই বিজ্ঞানই তৈরি করেছে, নতুন কিছু আজকে তৈরি কেউ দায়িত্ব কেউ পূরণ করতে পারেনি, সবই বিজ্ঞান তৈরি করেছে। এটা কিন্তু আমাদের গর্ব। এটাই এই সুদীর্ঘ সময়ের পথ পরিক্রমায় জ্ঞান পিপাসু মানুষই সৃষ্টি করেছে এবং জ্ঞানের বিভিন্ন শাখার আজকে এই শাখার মধ্যে বিজ্ঞান একটি গুরুত্বপূর্ণ শাখা। আজকে আপনারা দেখছেন যে যে সমস্ত জিনিস দিয়ে আমরা এগিয়ে চলেছি, তার শাখা প্রশাখা বিভিন্ন জায়গায় জড়িয়ে পড়ছে। আমরা সেই জায়গায় দাঁড়িয়ে আমরা মনে করছি যে আমাদের কাছে এই সব থেকে বড় শাখা হচ্ছে বিজ্ঞান, যে আমাদের তৈরি করছে। আমাদের সব থেকে বেশি বর্তমানে আজকে আলোচনা করতে গেলে অনেক কিছু আজকে মধ্যে সর্বশেষ আমাদের সব থেকে বেশি, আমি শুরু করছি বিজ্ঞান দিয়ে। বিজ্ঞানের সব থেকে বেশি আজকে মানুষের কাছে চিন্তা হচ্ছে এটাই যে আমাদের বিশ্ব ব্রহ্মাণ্ডের মধ্যে আমাদের সকলে মিলে আবিষ্কার করার চেষ্টা করছে, সেটা হচ্ছে ব্ল্যাক হোল। এটাই এখন বাকি আছে, এখনো বৈজ্ঞানিকরা এর ফলাফল আমাদের কাছে পূরণ করতে পারেননি। আমি সেটাই আপনাদের জানিয়ে তারপরে আপনাদের কাছে বলছি। এই গর্ত নিয়ে আজকে গবেষণা চলছে। আমাদের পৃথিবীর সমস্ত শক্তির এই ব্ল্যাক হোল নিয়ে আমাদের ভীষণ বিষয় নিয়ে চিন্তাভাবনা চলছে এবং সূর্য অসংখ্য নক্ষত্রের মধ্যে এই যে ব্ল্যাক হোল, যেটা সবথেকে বেশি এই নক্ষত্র, যেখানে আজকে জ্বলন্ত এই নক্ষত্র জ্বলছে, এই উত্তাপ লক্ষ কোটি ডিগ্রি সেলসিয়াস। বিজ্ঞানীরা এই সম্পর্কে জানার চেষ্টা করছেন। আজকে কি পড়ছে সূর্যের মধ্যে? সূর্যের মধ্যে উত্তাপের কারণ হলো আজকে হাইড্রোজেন অণু মিলে তৈরি হচ্ছে লক্ষ লক্ষ হিলিয়াম অণু। তারই ফলে আজকে আইনস্টাইনের সূত্র অনুসারে প্রচণ্ড শক্তি জন্ম নিচ্ছে, ফলে তৈরি হচ্ছে প্রচণ্ড উত্তাপ। এক কথায় সূর্যের ভিতরে লক্ষ লক্ষ হাইড্রোজেন বোমা আজকে বিস্ফোরণ চলছে প্রতিনিয়ত। ভবিষ্যতে মানুষের সর্বনাশাধীন হচ্ছে। এই হাইড্রোজেন অনেক কিছু তৈরি হয়েছে, খালি বাকি আছে হাইড্রোজেন বোমাটা। তাহলে হয়তো আগামী দিনে কেউ তৈরি করে আমাদের সবাইকে নিঃশেষ করে দেবে। তার জন্যেই আজকে বৈজ্ঞানিকরা সব থেকে বেশি চিন্তা ভাবনা করছে ব্ল্যাক হোল বিষয়টা নিয়ে, কিভাবে মানুষকে একটা সুরাহা করা যায়। আমি আপনাদেরকে জানিয়ে রাখি, মূলত আজকে এখানে করার মূল কারণ হচ্ছে আমাদের মোট যারা এখানে উপস্থিত হয়েছেন আমাদের দপ্তরের বিভিন্নভাবে আজকে তাদের এই সেমিনারে আমরা তাদেরকে বিভিন্নভাবে এই দপ্তরের মাধ্যম দিয়ে তাদের সচেষ্ট করবার জন্যে, উন্নতি করবার জন্যে তাদেরকে আমরা সুযোগ দেওয়ার চেষ্টা করছি। পশ্চিমবঙ্গ মূলত কৃষি নির্ভরশীল দেশ, রাজ্য, এবং এই বৈজ্ঞানিক পদ্ধতিতে মাটি পরীক্ষার মাধ্যমে মাটির স্বাস্থ্য পর্যবেক্ষণে সাহায্য করতে পারে এই সর্বোত্তম সার আজকে ব্যবহার করার জন্যে ফসলের আজকে ঘূর্ণন এবং এর উপর চাষ সৃষ্টির জন্যে পদ্ধতির জন্যে আজকে সুপরিবেশের দিকে পরিচালিত করতে পারে। জল ব্যবস্থাপনা, বৈজ্ঞানিক প্রযুক্তি, আজকে সমানভাবে ড্রিপ সেট এবং বৃষ্টির জল সংগ্রহ, ভূগর্ভস্থ আজকে রিজার্ভ পদ্ধতি ব্যবহার করে আজকে সেচ পদ্ধতি উন্নত করতে পারে। এই কৃষকদের মুখোমুখি জলের ঘাটতি সমস্যাগুলি আজকে কাটিয়ে উঠতে সহায়তা করতে পারে। জলবায়ু সহনশীল ফসল, ঘর এবং প্রতিরোধ করবার জন্য জলবায়ু সৃষ্টি, স্থাপক ফসলের জাতগুলি কৃষকদের পরিবর্তনের আবহাওয়ার ধরনগুলির সঙ্গে খাপ খাইয়ে নিতে সাহায্য করতে পারে, এমনকি প্রতিকূল পরিস্থিতিতে ভালো ফসল নিশ্চিত করতে পারে। বাংলার আজকে এই উন্নয়ন বলে আজকে বিজ্ঞান ও প্রযুক্তির একীভূত করার জন্যে আজকে ব্যাপক বহু বিষয়ে দৃষ্টিভঙ্গি শুধুমাত্র কৃষকদের উৎপাদনশীলতা এবং জলস্বাস্থ্য এবং পরিবেশকে আজকে উন্নত করতে পারে। এরকম অবস্থার জন্যে সামাজিক আর্থসামাজিক অবস্থাকে উন্নত করবে। এই হস্তক্ষেপের কার্যকারিতা নিশ্চিত করবার জন্যে আজকে বিজ্ঞান এবং তার নীতি নির্ধারক এবং স্থানীয় সম্প্রদায়ের মধ্যে সহযোগিতা অপরিহার্য বলে আমরা আমাদের দপ্তরের মাধ্যম দিয়ে এটা আপনাদের কাছে এই রকম ধরনের সেমিনারের মাধ্যম সহ আমাদের বেশ কিছু আমাদের যারা আছেন তাদেরকে তৈরি করতে চাইছি, তারা ভবিষ্যতে সমস্ত মানুষের কাছে এই বার্তাগুলো যাতে পৌঁছে দিতে পারেন। আমরা করেছি, আমাদের দপ্তর আজকে এইভাবে মানুষের কাছে আমরা পৌঁছে দিয়েছি। প্রতি বছরে আমরা 418 জনকে এই বিষয়ে আমরা অর্থ প্রদান করে আছি এবং এদের মাধ্যম দিয়ে আমরা এইভাবেই সবাইকে এগিয়ে নিয়ে যাওয়ার চেষ্টা। যেমন আপনাদের কাছে বলি, এই কল্যাণীতে আজকে আপনারা জানেন এখানে এইমস আছে, নতুন তৈরি হয়েছে। আমাদের মাননীয় মুখ্যমন্ত্রী এই কল্যাণীতে আমাদের কেন্দ্রীয় সরকারের কাছে আজকে দায়িত্ব দিয়ে এখানে এইমস তৈরি করেছিলেন এবং এইমসের একজন ডাক্তারবাবু তিনি আমাদের এই আপনাদের মতো এরকম ধরনের একটি অনুষ্ঠানে তিনি উপস্থিত হয়েছিলেন গত বছর তিনি একটা চিঠি দিয়ে আমাদের কাছে এরকম অনুষ্ঠানে বলেন আমিও এই অনুষ্ঠানে হাজির হব এবং আমি আপনাদের কাছে আমার কিছু বার্তা আছে সেটা আপনাদের কাছে জানাবো। তিনি আমাদের জানিয়েছিলেন এবং জানানোর পরে আমরা তাকে আজকে স্বীকার করেছি তার প্রয়োজন আছে এবং তার জন্যে কি তার বক্তব্যটা কি ছিল, অ্যান্টিভেনাম অর্থাৎ সাপের কামড়ের চিকিৎসা ব্যবস্থাতে আজকে কিভাবে মানুষকে বাঁচানো যায় গ্রামীণ শহর এবং আপনাদের কাছে বিভিন্ন পশ্চিমবাংলার আজকে বিভিন্ন গ্রাম এবং সমস্ত জায়গাতেই সবথেকে বেশি আমাদের এই জায়গায় দাঁড়িয়ে মানুষকে রক্ষা করার জন্যে সাপের কামড় থেকে বাঁচানোর জন্যে আমাদের এই তার নাম যিনি ডাক্তার তার নাম সায়ন্তন ব্যানার্জি। আমি তাকে বলেছিলাম যে তাকে আমরা দায়িত্ব দিতে পারি, তাকে সাহায্য করতে পারি এবং তাকে আমরা মোট আজকে প্রায় 25 লক্ষ টাকা তাকে দিয়েছি বটে এবং তার সঙ্গে বলেছি আপনি বিভিন্ন আজকে আমাদের এই নদিয়া জেলার বিভিন্ন ডাক্তারদের সঙ্গে আপনি যুক্ত করে এইভাবেই আপনি যেটা চাইছেন গবেষণা করে মানুষকে রক্ষা করার জন্য সেটা আপনি করবেন। আজকে এটা বাস্তব, আমরা গর্ব করে বলছি তাদের কাছ থেকে এরকম কিছু চাই। দেখুন আপনাদের এরপরে আপনাদের জানাই যে আমাদের দ্বিতীয় কাজও আপনাদের কাছে জানিয়েছি, আমি জানতে চাইছি এই কারণে আমরা কি কাজ করেছি। আপনারা তো জানতে চাইবেন যে কি কাজ করেছি। আমরা এই কাজগুলোই করছি, আপনাদের কাছে জানিয়ে রাখি। আমরা এসএসকেএম এ আপনাদের কাছে এই ঠিক একইভাবে আমাদের ডাক্তারবাবুরা আপনাদের কাছে এসেছিলেন, তারা যান এবং তার একটা বক্তব্য তারা সকলে মিলে আমাদের কাছে বক্তব্য রাখেন যে আমরাও আপনাদের এইভাবে মানুষের কাছে আজকে তাদের ভালোর জন্য কি করতে পারি তার জন্য আপনাদের কাছে জানাতে চাইছি এবং আমাদের কি আপনারা দেখবেন তার জন্য আপনারা সচেষ্ট হন, এর জন্য আপনাদের জানিয়ে রাখি। এবং আমাদের প্রায় 10 জন চিকিৎসক এসএসকেএম এর আপনারা জানেন তারা সকলে মিলে সিদ্ধান্ত নেন যে আমাদের এই আলজাইমার্স এবং ডিমেনশিয়া আমাদের মানুষের যারা খুব ভালো আজকে লেখাপড়ায় ভালো চিকিৎসা ভালো চিকিৎসক সবাই মিলে আপনারা মনে করছেন অনেক ভালো তাদের মেধা আছে, একটি তাদের মধ্যে তাদের কাজের এত বেশি চাপ তার ফলে তাদের মধ্যে ডিমেনশিয়া অ্যালজাইমার্স অর্থাৎ মানুষের মধ্যে তারকম ধরনের বিভিন্ন রোগের বিষয়টা নিয়ে আজকে কেউ আজকে নিজেদের সব থেকে বড় দুঃখের বিষয় সেটা কিন্তু তারা কিন্তু একবারে কাউকে বলেন না এবং তাদের জন্য চিন্তা ভাবনা করেন না। মানে আমরা তাই এদের থেকে ভালো করবার জন্যে আমাদেরই যারা মেধা আছে মেধার মধ্যে আমাদের সব থেকে বড় ক্ষুধা আজকে মানুষ নিজেকে রক্ষা করতে পারে না, তাদের বাঁচানোর জন্য আমরা সচেষ্ট হব। তার জন্য আমাদের অন্ততপক্ষে কিন্তু আমাদের দেখবেটাকে, তার জন্য আপনারা যদি আমাদের দেখেন আমরা সবাই মিলে আমাদের আজকে সমস্ত অফিসাররা মিলে আমরা সিদ্ধান্ত নিয়েছিলাম, নিয়ে আমরা আজকে এই চিকিৎসকদের যারা সিদ্ধান্ত নিয়েছেন তাদেরকে আমরা 1 কোটি টাকা দিয়েছি এবং তারা খুব শিগগিরই নিশ্চিতভাবে ফ্রুটফুল রেজাল্ট আমাদের মধ্যে যাদের মেধা আছে তাদেরকে রক্ষা করার জন্যে এই রকম ধরনের আজ আমাদের মানুষের মধ্যে যে রোগগুলো আমরা কেউ লজ্জার চোটে কেউ বলতে পারি না, অথচ আমাদের রক্ষা করার জন্যে এরকম ডাক্তারদের কাছে বলে আমাদের বাঁচাতে হবে। এইটুকুই হচ্ছে আপনাদের কাছে সব থেকে বড় বিষয়। এবং আমাদের রক্ষা করার জন্যে আমাদের এই কাজগুলো করার জন্যই কিন্তু আমরা আমাদের এই দপ্তর আপনাদের জন্য কাজ করে আছি। আপনারা যারা এখানে এসেছেন তাদেরকে বলছি আপনাদের এরকম অনেক ভালো কাজ আপনাদের কাছে জানাবার জন্যে আপনারা সচেষ্ট হবেন। আমরা আমাদের এই বাংলায় আমাদের রাজ্যের মুখ্যমন্ত্রী মানুষকে নিয়ে আজকে খালি উন্নয়নের নিরিখে আজকে যেভাবে তিনি আজকে আমাদের এগিয়ে নিয়ে যাওয়ার জন্য চেষ্টা করছেন, আমরা সবাই মিলে আপনাদের কাছে আসুন, আমাদের বাংলাকে আমরা এইভাবেই নতুনভাবে আমাদের মানুষকে নিয়ে আমাদের এই দপ্তরের মাধ্যম দিয়ে আমরা প্রত্যেককে একটা নতুন যুগ আমরা আবিষ্কার করে আমাদের বিজ্ঞান এমন একটা বিষয় যে বিজ্ঞান আমাদের মানুষকে খালি নতুন করে ভাবনাটা ভাবিয়ে তোলে তাই নয়, মানুষকে এগিয়ে নিয়ে যায়। এই এগিয়ে নিয়ে যাওয়ার বাসনা নিয়েই আমরা আপনাদের কাছে এসেছি। আপনাদের পূর্ণভাবে সহযোগিতা করবার বাসনা নিয়ে আমাদের দপ্তরের থেকে এই সেমিনারে আপনাদের মঙ্গল কামনা করে আমি আমার বক্তব্য শেষ করলাম। ধন্যবাদ সকলকে।
Thank you, sir. Honorable Minister Sri Biswas spoke at length about the importance of science in every sphere of our life. Sir has mentioned that science has no limit. One answer obtained through science leads to another question, and the cycle goes on. Sir, we are grateful to know about the humble approach of the government of West Bengal for all the sick, ill, and downtrodden in the leadership of the Honorable Chief Minister, Mrs. Mamata Banerjee. Thank you once again. House, we now have the privilege to hear from Dr. R.C. Agarwal, DDG Education, Division of Agriculture Education, ICAR. I'm honored to call upon Dr. Agarwal. Sir will deliver a keynote address on the topic integrating new education policy with science and technology for sustainable development. Sir, I have an announcement to make. The program is going on live in the YouTube. Sir, please.
So thank you very much. That we can see later on. बाद में दिखा दें, छोड़ दो। Leave it if it is not working. Not able to see from here. Okay, leave it. Leave it. So, first of all, it's my proud privilege to be here at this beautiful campus and one of the most prestigious university. Honorable Minister, Sri Ujjwal Biswas ji, Honorable Minister Dr. Pradeep Majumdar ji, who just now left, Dr. Mr. Chattopadhyay ji, Honorable Agriculture Minister, who could not come because of his some health issues, Dr. Ashok Patra ji, the newly joined Vice Chancellor, all the esteemed colleagues on the dais, former Vice Chancellors, our directors from the ISA institutes, faculty, and invited guests and other colleagues. So first of all, I want to congratulate the university for getting a very vibrant Vice Chancellor. a visionary vice chancellor who worked in ICR for a very long time, a very renowned soil scientist, a person who has worked in conservation agriculture, who has contributed a lot. So I am sure that this university will really go to new heights under his leadership. So my congratulations to all of you for getting this new vice chancellor and getting this renowned person from ICR. With that, let me also thank you for inviting me and making me part of this important deliberations. And I want to congratulate again for holding this important event on a very important topic for science and technology. Now, why this is so important now? And I have been given the topic that how we can relate national education policy, how we can really prepare our youths with this science and technology to meet the future challenges. It is not only, it is not, leave it. It is not only the preparing for the future, but just see some of the statistics I'll just tell you. Now, India is called the country of the youths, and you know the official definition of the youth is a person between 17 to 29 years. And we have 27% of our total population as the youth, young minds, which we say we are the country of the young minds. And in absolute terms, if you see, this number comes around 37 crores, big number, more than the population of the US. US population is 33 crores. Now, how we are really going to, and most of them, they are living in the villages. So how we are really going to prepare them through this national education policy and through our agricultural universities. That is really the big challenge. And for that, we have to prepare them for these vocational programs. We have to prepare them for this skill-based education, for which there are a lot of provisions under this national education policy, and for which ICR is making a lot of efforts for providing this skill-based education to the young generation. Now, the second challenge, and I just quote one Niti Aayog data, that if you do the business as usual, so that means if you do the farming the way we are doing currently, then we will not be able to feed more than 60%. Only 60% we can feed by 2030. So that means we have to adopt the science and technology. We have to really adopt all the latest technologies in the future. We have to prepare our youths to meet all these challenges. So how to meet these challenges? That is one of the biggest challenge. I was talking to Honorable Minister, and I was just saying that IPR is one of my favorite subjects because I have worked for 8 years in the production of plant varieties and farmer sites. Now, when I represented the country and I represented the Asia also in the United Nations for around 6 years, a very hot topic which was being talked, which was being debated, and which was being negotiated in the International Treaty on Plant Genetic Resources for Food and Agriculture. And that topic was DSI, and that is digital sequence information. I think you know the benefit sharing issues, you know a lot of other issues connected with this IPR. And in benefit sharing, a physical transfer of the material has to be there. So if you transfer some material, if you transfer some plant varieties, and if they are used in some improved varieties, then you have to do the benefit sharing. But the latest, I'm just telling you the science and technology innovations. But the latest science says that even without transfer of the material, there are issues of this benefit sharing. How? You have to just transfer the information and the material can be re-engineered using that. So even if you are transferring the genetic sequence, then they are saying that there is no benefit sharing because I have not taken any material, physical material from you. And I can tell you, for 6 years, there was no negotiation. Everybody was just opposing from the developed country, but the developing countries, they were saying there should be some. So we have to acquaint our students with all such kind of things, that it is not only the simple things, simple research which we are doing, but let us also see that what kind of innovations, what kind of thinking, what kind of our point of view we can put for all such things. Now people just talk for sustainable, and topic is also here the sustainable agriculture. But I have spoken to many scientists. They say we are already degraded. We cannot maintain, we cannot sustain the degraded soils. We cannot maintain the degraded things. So we have to regenerate that. So, and people are talking for the regenerative agriculture. How to really regenerate and bring it to the original kind of things, which around 1,000 years back we had our soil and other kind of things. So again, there is a lot of science involved in this. How really we can go for this? So you cannot live without science. You cannot live without technologies. Honorable Minister just talked about artificial intelligence. And let me just tell you, in the revised course curriculum for the undergraduate programs, 6th Dean's Committee report, which was released around 3 months back, we have included all these important topics of the science and technology. I made a presentation at the University Grants Commission also. And we want to acquaint our all students with the latest technologies like artificial intelligence, genomics, irrespective of your discipline, so that they are all acquainted with the latest technologies, whatever is happening. Now, for this, I can quote some examples also. Like when you talk for AI, so that means we are going to avoid the repetitive task. A very simple example I can just quote. Like when we do the online meeting, now there are tools which I am using regularly, where if you conduct a 2 hours meeting and if you want to make a 2-page recommendations, now if you put on that tool, artificial intelligence tool, it will make 2-page briefing of that 2 hours meeting, or this whole meeting of one day. You can just say that 3-page main key points I want to take. So it is a repetitive task. Why I should waste time of my scientists, of 5 scientists making the recommendations, and then I will correct it for 3 days, and then again somebody will type it. So such kind of things in future are going to be taken over by the artificial intelligence. So we have to reorient ourselves. According to the world report, 80 million jobs are going to be obsolete in the next 10 years. So we have to really see that how we have to cope up with that. But the good thing is that 90 million jobs will be created in the new areas which we cannot visualize now. Did you visualize about 30 years back that there is going to be some science like the data science, big data science, or there is going to be some data analytics, something? There was nothing. People say that we are searching the Google. Everybody say I am Googling, but the truth is reverse. You are not searching Google. Google is searching you. They have all the information about you. If you type in the chat GPT, tell me something about such and such person, immediately, even you may not be knowing, but it will tell you. So they have all the records. Once I was talking to a vice chancellor, and he was really surprised. I just told, I can tell you about 5 years back at 9:30 where you were. Just give me your mobile. And he was so surprised that it's very risky, and if my wife comes to know, then it will be very difficult. And I told exactly that 9:30 you left, and you went by car, you stayed there, and so everything is being recorded. Even you are not putting on the Google map, but still it is being recorded. So this is the kind of thing we have to really prepare our students, that how in future our technology is going to take up, how we have to prepare them for every kind of eventuality, because many repetitive task kind of things, they may be taken over by this artificial intelligence. Not only artificial intelligence, but the drones, but the IoT based solutions. And my colleagues, I can just tell you what is our preparedness for this. ICR invested around 1,000 crores for this World Bank project, that is National Agriculture Higher Education Project. And we sent around 3,000 students to more than 50 countries in areas around 350 new areas, emerging areas. Can you imagine? 350 new areas, and our around 1300 faculty from this university also, many students, many faculty have gone. Those new areas now are the areas for the future. We created at a cost of around 250 crores 16 center for advanced science and technology in agriculture. You think of any area, we have the genomics, market intelligence, secondary agriculture, IoT based solutions, smart agriculture, every kind of thing we have. Now, what those center of excellence in our universities are doing, and one center exists here, what those centers are doing, we are allowing the students to take project or the PhD thesis, MSc thesis only in those areas, preferably in those areas for which that center has been identified at the center of excellence. From other universities also they can take up such issues. So that's really the preparedness for the future. I was analyzing the thesis, 1.8 lakh thesis which have been deposited for this PhD in our Krishi course. And I was asked by the Prime Minister office that can you tell that how many students have really undertaking the PhD thesis in the current areas or in the areas in which the government has the priorities. And immediately it came around 3,000 such theses have been undertaken. So our students, our faculty is really taking all the new challenges and accordingly assigning the dissertations, the topics in those areas. So this is the generation which are being prepared for the future. And we are giving a lot of emphasis for this. Not only this CAST program, but the institutional development program also we created. We created a lot of things. So what exactly is required for the future? I can just tell you, in the change globalization, because everybody talks for the globalization. I handed over a book to Honorable Vice Chancellor, the Universal Food Security by Glenn Denning, one of the best book for this global food security. So what are the issues really? We must go through that book and just see. So there's a lot of emphasis for this globalization, for the climate change. Honorable Minister talked for this credit carbon related things. And there are many issues connected with this labor market. So we have to not only train the students, but we have to upskill, we have to reskill. Skills have to be upgraded according to the requirement in the market. And that really we have to change our curriculum. And that's why in the new Dean's Committee report, we have given 30% flexibility for the universities to design their own courses, design your own degree, whatever you want according to the local needs. It's not fixed. So that is the reason why we are giving. And the national education policy says the learning is outcome-based learning. Let me just, it's not only the degree which will be important, but how much knowledge you have gained. And that's why the new education policy or the national education policy has the component of, it has the very important component of the prior knowledge. So whatever knowledge you have got through your family, through your friends, or your own efforts, so that will be also accounted for. And ultimately it is outcome-based learning, not the degree-based learning. And that's why the different labels are important. Let me just tell you about this ABC. In this national education policy, adopting this national education policy, we have come out with this Dean's Committee, under which we have the provision of this ABC, Academic Bank of Credit. Now, in few years, maybe in 2 to 3 years, what is going to happen? And we have asked all the agriculture universities to implement from now itself, from the current academic session. Under ABC, now every faculty has to announce the admissions to the course through a open advertisement. That's what the ABC means. So if I am a very good teacher, if I advertise that, okay, my session is going to start for this particular course, so anybody outside the university also can apply for that course. And accordingly, the popularity of the teacher will be known, that how many teachers they are really coming for this. Now, the students who do more than 50% of the core courses from a particular university, they have to be also awarded the degree. So that means even if they are not student of your university, if I cannot get admission in IIT, but if I individually register for their different courses, then IIT has to award the degree to me if I do 50% of their courses. So, but they all will be registered in a central repository. That's what the academic bank of credit. Even if I do certain credits from somewhere else, they will be also accounted for. And in times, maybe by 2035, the situation is going to come that the government will say that you have to earn by just registration, and you have to earn your own salary. So that's what the future vision of the government is. But really, we have to see that there's so much flexibility to acquaint ourselves with science and technology. If I just feel like I want to attend some better course from some other institutes, or I want to learn something in arts or in sports or in some other yoga, I can do that. And I have to get the credits for that. I have to really improve my personality, and I have to really just learn what is happening at present. So there's a lot of importance, lot of emphasis for this foundational courses, digital skills, as I told, artificial intelligence, IoT-based solutions, drones, many new technologies. We are transpersonal skills. Again, they are very important. So that means you have to have a skills which can work across disciplines. Cognitive skills, we have created a lot of labs, the language labs in the universities. We have given all the 77 universities with augmented reality, virtual equipments, smart classrooms, so that students can get every kind of information, and with a cost of around 120 crores. Just 3 years back, after we got the idea after this COVID, we invested learning program, and now all the agricultural universities, they are having this blended learning program. Blended learning means you can adjust according to the individual student's need. You can give certain assignments, just assess them. The system will assess that what is the level of the understanding before going to the class, and accordingly you can start your class. There are many such things which now we are doing for this science and technology. We are doing to acquaint our students for the future needs and whatever is required. Because one thing, let us just remember, and that is food. As it was told in the inaugural session, that we have sufficient foods, there's no issue, but the demand is now for more nutritional food. We have to see whether a poor person can afford the nutritional food. And according to the world reports, United Nations report, one nutritional thali is costing around $3.8 per day per person. Can everybody afford this? So what are the solutions? Low cost solutions using science and technology, using some other diversification, so that our young minds only have to do. And honorable chair, I can just tell that the ICR has made efforts that how we can take this agriculture to the school level. And we organized a meeting of around 250 Delhi-based principals in Delhi. And it was really surprising to know that none of them was knowing that what is the agriculture. What is the meaning of agriculture education? And they are not preparing their students to come by choice to this agriculture education, because they don't have the proper knowledge. When I told that we provide PhD in 90 subjects, we provide MSc in 80 subjects, they told, what are those 90 subjects? We just thought that agriculture education means you have to now go to the field. And the general perception of this farmer, which is shown on the auto rickshaws or on the taxis, is a very poor farmer living in a very pathetic situation. But we never saw a happy farmer. So the students are not coming. They think like, if I go to agriculture, my situation is also going to be like this farmer. That is not this. So we have to educate them. And I asked all my agriculture university that please invite the local principals, students to a university, show them, so that by choice they start coming, so that we can prepare these young minds for the future. We can really invest in them. And we have seen the turnout about this. For one ICR seat today, for the girls, there is a ratio of 1:31. So that means 30 girls are rejected. There's so much increase in the number of applicants now. There is an increase of around 7-fold just because of these efforts. You can just visualize. The number of girls 7 years back, they were 23%, but today it is 50-50. Rather 49.3% girls and 50% are the and 50.7 the boys. And lot of demands for the hostels is coming, lot of demands for the girls. And when we sent abroad these students, we just told that 50% have to be the girls when you are sending abroad for these higher studies or for other kind of things. So that is the change now we are seeing. You can see in veterinary science, I have seen many students who left MBBS and joined the BBSc and H because they feel that they are more close to the environment, they are more close to treat such species which cannot speak. I was really amazed to see in one of the wildlife hospital students working and treating the snakes, treating the tigers, treating the blue bulls, and they were so happy. They were saying, "Sir, this is my life. We derive more pleasure out of this." If this thing is known, then really we can change the society. We can really attract more young minds, more talented students, so that we can really talk for science and technology, and we can really come out with innovative ideas. So that's what we are preparing our youth for all kind of eventualities. I always quote that nobody knew that there is going to be something like COVID. Nobody knew. Even 2 days, 3 days back before this COVID lockdown was there, we never knew. But our preparedness was that even if there was a lockdown for 1 year, we had sufficient food. We have sufficient preparedness. Our farmers were going to the field. Our KBK system was so strong. Our ACRIP system was so strong. So that was the preparedness. So similarly, we have to now prepare our youth. We are prepared through science and technology for any eventuality. Our universities could conduct exams because they were having all digital tools. They were having all kind of preparedness. So that's what we have to visualize, that nobody can predict the future, but at least we can prepare for the future. Our youths have to be prepared for the future. They have to be prepared for all kind of change of the jobs, all kind of entrepreneurship, and every kind of other things. The happy situation is, sir, now the employability, or I can say the employment rate has really increased in the last 6 years from 44% to 66% in the undergraduate level. We have started the diploma courses from this year, and that is again just to take the rural youths who are somehow not able to afford the higher education, or they don't have the facilities for this higher education, the polytechnics after 10th class, and there is 100% employability of those diploma holders. The best example is Maharashtra, Gujarat, which have many such polytechnics. Now ICR has issued the guidelines so that every university can start such programs. We are coming out with the detailed syllabus also for all kind of such things. So many initiatives we have taken, and we are coming out now with the latest guidelines, and that is for the awarding body through NCVET, National Council for Vocational Education Training, through which our complete National Agriculture Research Education System, they will be helping the young minds from the rural areas to come forward and to have those small period skill-based programs, like it may be a gardener, it may be a vermicompost, it may be a how to make the bonsai plants or any kind of things, so that they can have their own enterprise, they can have some employment opportunity in their village itself, and many, or they can adopt those technologies in their farming, but if they are doing the farming, many such kind of thing. In a massive level, we want to now really take up. I have spoken to the NCVET. Now, I think you know what is NCVET. It is the highest body in the India, regulatory body in India for vocational education programs. So that is really very important. I will also say that we are giving a lot of emphasis for the soft skills now. because that is again an area where we never focus much. And in soft skills, the important factors which we are emphasizing is communication skills, problem solving skills, the teamwork, how to work in the team, and the critical thinking. Critical thinking again is very important, and that again we have to really give emphasis. So I will request Honorable Vice Chancellor that please see that soft skills are also given due importance in the universities. Another important area which we are now emphasizing, and that is the massification of higher education. How we really we have to popularize this, how we have to take it to the masses. And for that, the very important factor is the public private partnership. So that really we have to emphasize, we have to see that how we can have such kind of outreach, involvement of the technological institutes like IITs, like the triple ITs, like the Indian Institute of Science, and they are all ready to come for this. Our projects for the students should be also such that we involve such technological advanced institutions, so that we can have such projects, we can have such programs. And for that, we have given a flexibility in the BSMA. I think Honorable Vice Chancellor knows that one of the advisory committee member of the PhD students can be outside the university also now. So you can have anybody from the industry, you can have anybody from the other institutes as the co-advisor or as the one of the advisory committee members, so that you have cross learning. And now we have to make our students industry ready. So the through awarding body, the new regulation which we are going to bring now, tomorrow is my presentation before the DG. There we will make the courses according to the need of the market. I was approached by one drone company, Garun, I think you know, and they wanted 600 undergraduate students from our universities. 600 is a big number. And I gave them the addresses of 10 vice chancellors. And they just told after going to 10 universities, they could find only some 70, 80 students. They were saying they don't have the skills, they don't have the other kind of things. So they are not prepared for the industry. So we have to just see that, okay, those who want to go for this drone technology, so we will have some additional courses designed in the university. So if some students want to attend, they can attend that. If they want to have mushroom raising, they want to have aquaponics, or they want to have hydroponics, any kind of thing. So in addition to your regular studies, you can have all those kind of things. So that also now we are bringing around 450 vocational courses be incorporated in the last 5 years, and they have helped the students a lot. And I have seen many students, they have come up with their I can tell that out of the 1 lakh startups, 6,000 belongs to agriculture, and many of them, they are connected with the agriculture universities. In almost all the universities we have incubation centers, and I should compliment again BCKV for having a very excellent this incubation centers and guiding the students. This land has been really the land of the great personalities. Whether you talk for the Rabindranath Tagore, whether you talk for Satyendranath Bose, or whether you talk for Meghnad Saha, big scientists. And I see the potential. And I should compliment again that in the ranking, you are in the SAU's rank, you are, I think, at the 4th number or 5th number. So that's really a big compliment despite all the resource crunch. It's a big achievement, and you can generate a lot of Rabindranath Tagores from this. You can generate a lot of you can generate a lot of big scientists, Nobel laureates from this. The only thing is we have to really have the confidence in the students. Our students really have to be given the proper space to think and to support them. I think as it was being told that the West Bengal can really control the whole country for these researchers. And presently our Secretary Dare and DG ICR also belongs to this area. You can just see that how they are guiding from the front. And he's going to join the ICRISAT, one of the largest body in the world. So that is the kind of contribution of this great state. So thank you very much, Honorable Vice Chancellor, for providing me this opportunity. I generally avoid showing the slides because I always try to talk with my heart. If you talk with the slides, then you are constrained to whatever written on the board, and that is my personal choice. So I just told Honorable Vice Chancellor that I will just talk about this university and many other things I could get through the personal discussions also. So that's really a very pleasing moment for me. And I can assure you that from ICR side, we are ready to extend all kind of support for technical and for other kind of things. So we are always there to help everybody. So thank you very much, sir, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Aim for smart work, less work, but quality work. Though the phone tracking part is a bit scary. Sir, your speech was comprehensive, compact, informative. National Policy 2020 seems to deal with the problems in the ground level. Now, I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, to kindly felicitate Dr. Agarwal, DDG Education, ICAR. Sir has been felicitated for his keynote as a keynote speaker. House, before I move on, I have an announcement to make. Please don't leave the hall. Immediately after the vote of thanks, the first memorial lecture will be delivered. And so you're requested to stay in the hall. Sir, there is a bulletin release which we just received by ICAR IIAB. It's a BCKV initiative, Director of Research, from Director of Research, that is Shanirbhar Krishi. And it will be released now by the honored Minister, Sri Ujjwal Biswas, sir, and our dignitaries on the dais. Thank you, sir. May I now request Dr. Shumona Roy, Director of Research and Organizing Secretary, to propose the vote of thanks.
Honorable Minister in charge, Department of Science and Technology and Biotechnology, Government of West Bengal, Sri Ujjwal Biswas. Honorable Minister in charge, Department of Panchayats and Rural Development and Department of Cooperation, Government of West Bengal, Sri Pradeep Kumar Majumdar. Honorable Deputy Director General Education, ICAR, New Delhi, Dr. R.C. Agarwal. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Bidhan Chandra Krishi Vishwavidyalaya, Dr. Ashok Kumar Patra. Nodal Officer and Joint Secretary, Department of Science and Technology and Biotechnology, Government of West Bengal, Srimati Subrata Bhaumik Datta. Registrar BCKV, Professor Madhumita Mitra. Nodal Officer and Joint Secretary, BCKV, Dr. Kushal Roy. Director Attari, Director NBSS LUP Regional Center. deans, directors, officers, head of the departments, professor, faculty, in charges, staffs of this Vishwavidyalaya, former vice chancellors, dignitaries, delegates, and participants, ladies and gentlemen, in this auspicious occasion of 7th Regional Science and Technology Congress, jointly organized by Bidhan Chandra Krishi Vishwavidyalaya and Department of Science and Technology and Biotechnology, Government of West Bengal on 14th and 15th January 2025, I am feeling that special occasion. I would like to thank all the delegates who blessed us with their presence. I express my most sincere gratitude to the Honorable Minister in charge Department of Science and Technology and Biotechnology Government of West Bengal, Sri Ujjwal Vishwas, who kindly consented to be the chief guest today. Sir, your gracious presence and inspiring words will always motivate. Our most sincere thanks to the Honorable Minister in charge Department of Agriculture, Government of West Bengal, Sri Shobhan Dev Chattopadhyay, who despite his very busy schedule consented to be the guest of honor, but unfortunately could not attend this program due to some urgent health issues. We are greatly indebted to you, sir. My sincere thanks to Honorable Minister in charge Department of Panchayats and Rural Development and Department of Cooperation, Government of West Bengal, Sri Pradeep Kumar Majumdar, and our guest of honor for gracing this occasion. I express my sincere thanks to him for the unwavering support and insightful guidance which have been the cornerstone of this Science Congress and BCKV as a whole. We are really grateful to Deputy Director General Education ICA New Delhi, Dr. R.C. Agarwal. Sir, you have inspired us with your keynote address and we will continue to look towards you for guidance and further inspiration. I, on behalf of the organizing committee, convey deep regards and hearty thanks to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Ashok Kumar Patra, for necessary administrative approval for organizing the event in this campus, for his constant encouragement and guidance that radiated a source of energy within us. I also extend our heartfelt thanks to the secretaries and other administrative officers of the Department of Science and Technology and Biotechnology, Department of Agriculture, and Department of Panchayats and Rural Development, Government of West Bengal. I would like to thank former vice chancellors of this university and directors of our neighboring premier institute for their gracious presence. I express my sincere thanks to joint nodal officers attached to this regional congress and other respected scientists from Department of Science and Technology and Biotechnology. The immense dedication, patience, and encouragement of the entire team of the Department of Science, Technology, and Biotechnology have propelled us through all the challenges faced during our progress. With profound appreciation, I acknowledge the contribution of the registrar, deans of 3 faculties, dean postgraduate studies, Director of Farms, Director of Extension Educations, heads of the departments, and other administrative officers of this Vishwavidyalaya who has extended their much needed support in organizing this academic program. A special thanks goes to the nodal officer and joint organizing secretary, member convener, and all other of Program Organizing Committee at BCKV for their invaluable help during every step of this ceremony. I am very much thankful to all our faculty colleagues and non-teaching staff members who always stand by us and motivate us. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated students. I feel proud and thank you for making this event a successful one. I take this opportunity to also thank our distinguished dignitaries and participants present here today. My sincere thanks to the media for covering this event. Thanks to all of you for making this event successful. Have a wonderful staying at BCKV. Enjoy the 7th Regional Science and Technology Congress. Finally, I thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, to have been with us and invite you to join us for the remaining part of the 7th Regional Science and Technology Congress 2024-25. Thank you.
We'll be releasing two books now, Ecology, Resilience and Agriculture, authored by Kavita Mandal, S.K. Acharya, Apurva Pal, and Manirul Haq. There's another book, Moringa, the Magic Plant, authored by S.K. Acharya and Mona Bharti. Dr. Acharya has joined in. Thank you to all. We'll be following with the first memorial lecture, and I'll hand over the mic to the former Dean, Faculty of Horticulture, Professor A.B. Sharangi. Professor Sharangi will coordinate the session. House, please don't leave. We'll have the memorial lecture now. House, you're requested to please be seated. Really insulting. House, please be seated. The lunch will be provided after this lecture. Please be seated.
All are requested to stay here in this conference room. Yeah, we'll be hearing one of the most interesting memorial lecture. So, very good afternoon to all of you. The moment has come. We are going to hear Professor Anandranath Bosu for the Professor Prashanta Chandra Mahalanobis Memorial Lecture. Madam Madhumita Mitra Sarkar has given me this difficult task to continue this session further. All of you know why we have designed this Prashanta Chandra Mahalanobis Memorial Lecture today. The renowned Indian scientist and statistician Professor Mahalanobis is the father of statistics in India. In 1968, he has been conferred Padma Vibhushan. Okay. Felicitation. You be there. Fellow of Royal Society, Royal Statistical Society, and Fellow of American Statistical Association, Prashanta Chandra Mahalanobis, I believe, needs no introduction. So to deliver the memorial lecture today, Professor Anandranath Bosu is here, and I have been handed over 3 pages illustrious career. So I am briefly reading out the most salient points. He is the professor of Indian Statistical Institute, Kolkata, after doing his PhD in statistics from Penn State University, US, and now his office is Interdisciplinary Statistical Research Unit of ISI. He has been the visiting position in the Department of Statistics, Penn State University during 2000 to 2001, and again 2003, 8, 9 in different universities. He is directors of Indian Statistical Education Center, inference, multivariate statistical models, growth curve, categorical data, and biostatistics. He authored 2 books from the CRC Press. I'm not going to read out the journals published in many honors. He is the editor of Indian Journal of Statistics. He is the fellow of National Academy of Science India, elected in 2008, way back. And of course, he is the fellow of West Bengal Academy of Science and Technology, supervised 7 students, and his H index is 6, number of citations, Google Scholar citation is beyond 4,000. So I believe that we should have a big hand for him for this. And with this, I'm inviting Professor Bosu to deliver the Prashanta Chandra Mahalanobis Memorial Lecture with a topic on an overview of statistical inference. I would like to request Madam Somana Roy to offer the flower bouquet. So with this, I am handing over the podium to Professor Bosu.
So while we are waiting for the laptop to be set up, can I have some direction on exactly how long I should speak? I mean, I understand we are running behind time, and I will not want to be the cause of pushing your lunch back to a point where you're not comfortable in the name of a memorial lecture. Okay. Okay, thank you all for being here. And I also thank the organizers for asking me to deliver this talk and also for the generous introduction. So I will talk about robust statistical data analysis. And in the lectures that we have in the morning, we have heard about a lot of things about data analysis. And as all of you know, that the names of traditional data analysis tools have changed over the last maybe 2 decades. At one time, we used to use terms like data mining, then big data analytics, machine learning, now artificial intelligence. And for those who are not deeply into these stuff, artificial intelligence seems like magic, frankly. It seems absolutely like magic. But technically, what is it? It's a way of pattern. You have a pattern matching algorithm based on what you have seen previously to predict the future. That's what it is. And the good and more efficient your algorithm is, better your pattern matching is, and better your future prediction is. Now, what do you need to do this? Among other things, you need lots and lots of data. And you need people who can do efficient data analysis. And here, the role of robust statistical analysis, I am going to emphasize, because that is somewhat different from the usual data analysis we teach students in the introductory statistics classes, and robust statistical analysis has sort of become default in Western countries by now, but in India it's still extent. But I give robust statistical analysis talks to many audiences, and I think this is something we should seriously invest our time on. This is Professor P.C. Mahalanobis. Professor Mahalanobis, the father of the statistics discipline in India, the founder of Indian Statistical Institute, and a person whose vision went far beyond his time, who realized that statistics is going to be a discipline for the future. So this picture, many of you may have seen. Here is a picture which I believe nobody has seen in this audience. Here, Professor Mahalanobis is seated on the right. This was at the time of the centenary celebration of Dinabandhu Church, Friar Andrews, February of 1971. I was in grade 3 at the time, and this was in Mahajati Sadan, Kolkata. I'm not a young man, but I'm not that old to have seen Professor Mahalanobis while I was in college. Even when I was in ISI in the 80s, Professor Mahalanobis had long gone. But I'm fortunate to have seen him once in his life, although at the time I did not know who he was or what he represented. So this is a robustness theme picture, which some of my students had built when we had a robustness conference in ISI almost 10 years back. What does robust statistical analysis do? In traditional data analysis, the methods which work well do not work equally well when the ideal data conditions are violated. In particular, when there are outliers in the data, or when the parametric assumptions on which we base our analysis are violated. So here we see one big group here on one side and an atypical observation on the other side, and the analysis does not know which way to go. Now, as I said, there are two different ways the robustness problem shows up. One is through observations which do not conform to the model, which we generally call outliers, and when parametric assumptions are violated. The second one needs a longer description, so I will not get into that in any depth today. But just as an illustration, all practical scientists use a method of testing called analysis of variance. Anybody who deals with data uses analysis of variance. But analysis of variance is very, very heavily dependent on a parametric assumption. It assumes that the true distributions are normal or Gaussian. When that assumption fails, the power of the analysis of variance test drops drastically. Test. So the parametric assumptions are very important. But I will not focus on that side too much. Today I will talk more about the outlier problem and give some indications of how we deal with that in data analysis. But before that, let me introduce you to some of the prominent people in this area. The father of modern theoretical statistics is Sir R.A. Fisher. our own great C.R. Rao. C.R. Rao has been one of the greatest scientists India has produced in the last 100 years. C.R. Rao was a student of R.A. Fisher. But during Fisher's time, statistical analysis was primarily based on traditional methods, which assumed that the parametric assumptions. But later on in the 50s and 60s, these two gentlemen came along, John Tukey and George Box, who started questioning the findings of traditional statistical analysis methods. For example, when normality fails, our methods become inefficient. How to deal with that? Things like that. And the person whom we acknowledge as having written the first formal paper in robust statistics is this gentleman, who is the only living person in the four pictures that I showed you, Peter Huber. And this is a paper in 1964, the Annals of Statistics. And this is considered to be the first formal paper in the area of robust statistics. Statistics by itself is a very modern science. We consider 1900 paper written by Carl Pearson as forming the first theoretical background in statistics. So in that sense, it's little over or around a century and a quarter. Whereas the area of robust statistics, if we think of this as a starting point, is roughly 60 years old, 60. So let me give a real data example to motivate the problems that we face here. This is an example with Drosophila data, and what happened in this experiment was that the experimenter was spraying male flies in an experiment. Drosophila are a variety of flies. Male flies with some kind of DDT or some disinfectant kind of stuff. And then these male flies were made to mate with unexposed females. And the experimenter looked at about 100 daughter flies and counted how many of them had a recessive lethal mutation in a particular gene. And the data set says there are 23 such fathers who had no such daughters, 7 such fathers who had 1 such daughter, 3 had 2 such, and then there was a gap. And if the data ended there, this would have been a nice data set to be analyzed by traditional methods. But somehow, one father ended up having 91 such daughters, and this is legitimately occurring data. How that happened, we don't know. But if you use traditional methods to deal with that, then the observed and predicted data do not match. Observed is blue, predicted is maroon. They do not match at all. But if I threw out the big outlier and fitted the traditional methods, they match very well. Of course, you may ask me, why will I not do that? I will come back to that point in a few minutes. But in this case, our traditional methods, which have been around from the time of R.A. Fisher, they fail, and they fail miserably. So some other examples. Here is the general data structure is very nice, bell-shaped, can be modeled by a normal distribution, but has 2 big outliers on the left side. Thing here, one big outlier on the left. Same thing. This is a different kind of problem, this data set. What is it? A normal distribution is a bell-shaped. It only has one mode. This is a bimodal data structure. Difficult to analyze with a normal distribution. Another data structure which would not follow the normal pattern, but still one very big outlier which will ruin your classical analysis. From one-dimensional data, I now move on to two-dimensional data. Here is a scatter plot of a star cluster. The light intensity is in the y-axis. The log temperature is in the x-axis. And if there were these four outliers, if they were not there, four outliers on the top left-hand corner, if they were not there, one could easily analyze these by traditional methods. Another data set, a nice linear structure at the bottom, but something going on in the central part. Okay, so going back to the star cluster data. When we have two-dimensional data and we want to fit a model to this, particularly a linear model, then our traditional method is fitting a regression line to that by what we call the method of least squares. This is the method of least squares line fitted to data. So if you think that the top left-hand values are outliers and you want to plot the residuals coming out of this fit, they would look like this. The four outliers, I have plotted them in red, but otherwise you cannot separate them from the general cluster. But if I fitted these data using a robust method, a fit would look like this. It would go like that. It would sacrifice the outliers and give meaningful fit to the majority of the data. And when I do this, the outliers, what happens to their residuals? If I plot them again, now they stand out. Now you can easily tell which observations are the outliers. Going back to the previous one, here you cannot tell. So identification of outliers also requires an initial robust method of fitting. Similarly, in this data set, Belgian telephone data, the non-robust fit would look like this, method of least squares. And the robust fit will go like that, which will again ignore or sacrifice the observations in the center, which are outliers, to give a more meaningful fit to the rest of the data. And there's an interesting story about this Belgian telephone data. As you see, it goes from 1950 to 1974. It's supposed to represent the number of international phone calls made from Belgium during that period. So what happened during the center? At that time, there was some other person who were keeping the data, and instead of counting the number of international phone calls, what was recorded was number of minutes of international phone calls. That's why it goes up. But you would not know unless you go and fit a robust method to begin with. You fit a robust method, you see which observations stand out, and then you go back and do a further scrutiny to see what was going wrong in the model. Why does it not conform to the model which seems to be otherwise a good one? So a standard question is, robustness, is it a parametric method or a non-parametric method? Robustness does away with many of the parametric assumptions, but it's still a parametric method because we want to retain the utilities of parametric modeling. In fact, robust statistics has been called the statistics of approximate parametric models, can be explained through this diagram. The left one, parametric statistics, no parametric assumption. Middle one, parametric statistics. Your assumptions have to be satisfied exactly. Robust statistics, you have an approximate band around your hypothesized model where it would still work. So very quickly, some standard methods of robust estimation. Our very initial parameter that we're interested in is the location. You have a data set, where is the location of that? You want to avoid the mean because the robustness problems of the mean are well known to everybody. You have a data set, you move one observation to infinity, the mean moves away with that. That doesn't happen with the median or trimmed mean, where you chop off a part of observations in the tails. There's another interesting robust estimator, which is called a generalized mean. You look at this form, if alpha is 1, then this is the arithmetic mean, whose robustness problems are well known. But depending on in which direction your outliers are, you can choose an alpha to get a robust fit. A standard robust alternative of standard deviation. Standard deviation is our canonical estimator of the scale of a data. Very efficient estimator. But when there are outliers, can be an extremely poor estimator. So I will show you with a data set how they work. Look at these data set, which I had earlier exhibited, 2 outliers on the lower tail. And if you wanted to fit this by the method of maximum likelihood, this is what the fit would look like. An absolutely terrible fit. The scale is rated much more than it should be. But if I use these 2 robust methods, if I use the median this way and the scale like this and fit a normal model using these estimators, that is what the fit would be like. Once again, what would it do? It would model the majority of the data by sacrificing what would seem like obvious outliers. Another method which we use is called M estimator. So if you are estimating the mean, if you replace that psi by the identity function, then the solution of this will be the mean. But instead of using this function, let me show you another picture if I may. When you choose functions like this, the blue one or the red one, for which as the residuals grow, you eventually keep reducing their impact. So when you take an observation very far from the center, it would behave as if that data was just not there. And let me give you an example here. Look at the equation on the third line. Summation xi minus theta is equal to 0. If you solve that, what is your estimate of theta? It's x bar, the sample mean. Sample mean, we know about its robustness limitations. But if you look at estimation which looks like this, look at the last line here. Summation xi times an exponential factor. So when xi goes to infinity, just think about this. You don't have to be a mathematician to understand this. If xi one single xi goes to infinity, what happens? Xi minus theta becomes very big, true. But in the exponential term, xi minus theta square becomes larger faster, and a negative exponential term takes it to 0. So if you increase an xi, take it to infinity, what will happen is that the corresponding term will go to 0, and eventually the estimating equation will behave as if this observation was just not there. Okay. Here are some more examples. And some of these are fitted by what we call minimum distance methods. And interestingly, minimum distance methods have been shown to have very desirable properties of combining properties of efficiency and robustness. You may want to ask that if median is robust or some other estimator is robust, why shall we not use such methods all the time? Why will I use the mean at all? The reason is that when there are no outliers in the data, or when the data are relatively pure, methods like the mean are much more efficient methods than the robust methods. But here is one method I want to show which works well in either condition. So I showed you the Drosophila data example, and I will show you one method of estimation called minimum Hellinger distance estimator, which combines asymptotic efficiency and good robustness properties. And if you use this method, then in the Drosophila data which I showed you earlier, the observed counts and the expected counts in the first row and the third and fourth row, they match quite closely. As the expected counts under the as given in the second row, which follows the traditional method of maximum likelihood estimator, gives completely. Then going further, more examples. So these examples are based on what we call minimum distance methods. Minimum distance is also pattern matching. You have a parametric model, you have your data, you match them to find the parameter where the match is the closest. And they have some automatic robustness properties, as you see that the minimum distance method effectively ignores the outliers. Here also, outliers are effectively ignored. Same here. This is the non-normal example that I had earlier shown. The likelihood in solid line has a longer tail in trying to accommodate the outlier, whereas the robust fit in dotted line drops much faster than that. Here is the data analysis involving the bimodal data. The arithmetic mean in red gives a poor estimate of location. By the way, here by location, I'm trying to find the location of the dominant component, ignoring the outlying component. Whereas appropriately chosen generalized means give more accurate estimates of location. Here is an example with survival data, and I'm not sure if it's completely visible to you, but there are peaks here. So the maximum likelihood in trying to accommodate those peaks give a useless line. The robust fit gives a line which ignores that part but matches the initial part well. And if I, instead of a single model, use a mixture which tries to combine both jointly in this manner. But that's a different philosophy. I'm not going to talk about that. And quickly, without talking about the mathematics, if I have a distribution and if I am interested in characteristics of that distribution, then if some contamination slightly moves the distribution, how much would the parameters move? And that is measured by this function, which is called the influence function. And for the mean, the influence function is like this, y minus tf. So it's linear in the contaminating point y. You take it infinity, the influence also goes to infinity. But for the median, it is a fixed influence function like this. You take y to infinity, that does not affect the median. In fact, we can show that the median as a measure of location is not affected until you corrupt 50% of your data. Until out. Whereas the mean, you need to move only one observation to make. Okay, I think I will stop there. There are many other technical slides, but I think this is the right time to stop. If there are questions and if they're allowed, then I will be happy to take them. Yes. Barely. Please.
Sir, thank you for the interesting lecture. So myself, Riyade from Bhabha Atomic Research Center. So far we have actually worked with the Hubbard loss regression analysis and the random forest regression analysis. And so our intention was to find an average picture from our data. And for that we calculated one semi-empirical equations derived from those data. Now the questions many a time asked is that how unique is that equation? Because the more parameter we include, we will get a new set of equations. So how to answer this question?
Okay, so this is a standard question. Anytime we do data analysis, whether in regression or in some other structure, the more features you include, your estimation is bound to become more efficient. There's no doubt about that. If you do regression, then if you have more number of explanatory variables, your regression sum of squares is bound to go up. It will not drop. At best, it can remain constant. So more features you have, better in terms of predictive probability is your model. That's certainly true. But in statistics, we use another term because more parameters make the model more complex and more difficult to handle. There has to be a balance in between. So in the end, if you include more and more features, one particular problem which shows up in statistics, we call it multicollinearity. If you have two explanatory variables which are very highly correlated, that makes your parameter estimates very, very unstable, makes their variance very high. So as I was saying, there is a term we use in statistics which is called parsimonious. So there must be a balance between the number of features you want to use and the parsimony of the model. So beyond a particular point, if you add more features, although it's bound to increase your efficiency per se, the parsimony will be compromised and eventually it will not help. So finding the right point is not always easy, but we still have many ways of finding the best set of features, but finding more features is not necessarily the solution to do a better estimation or better prediction. There has to be a right way to find the most parsimonious model. That finding that point of parsimony will depend from model to model, but in general, that's a general answer. But in your case, somebody has to look at a particular problem to see where to stop.
Thank you, sir. I just have one more question. For example, in when we do machine learning for this type of regression, apart from the outlier problem, what I found that the order or sequence of the data is also getting like they are also influencing the outcome of the final regression. So but this is not expected. However pattern we arrange this data, one particular set of regression or a set of formulas or parametric optimization should be obtained. It should not depend on the sequence or the order of the data that are fed into the system.
Sequence of the data or sequence of the feature?
No, sequence of the data. For example, A1, A2, A3, these are independent variables, and dependent variables how when the code is reading my how these data are arranged, the final regression depend on that. So if I found that this is happening, that it is dependent on the sequence of the data, that means that regression is not that good, right, sir?
No, I am not understanding your question. If you have a pool of data and you have a fixed model, then in whichever order you enter your data, unless you do intermediate regressions, they should all give the same result.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm assistant professor in agricultural economics. My background is economics and statistics, agriculture statistics, in UG, PG, and also PhD level. So I have worked with statistical models, and I have some one question that while with determining the coefficient of determination for a large sample data, then we often found that the coefficient of determination, say for 0.50, then it is likely to be significant in 5% as well as 1%. If the sample size is increased, then point R square value 0.30 or 0.40, then it is likely to be significant. So is there any thumb rule that the size of the sample which will give the significance of the coefficient of determination?
In general, R square value and the
Yeah.
parameter significance
Yeah.
should have a positive correlation.
Yeah.
In general, R square increases, significance is also likely to increase. But there is
Yeah.
no rule which says that for a small R square, we cannot get significance. So it can be that R
Sir,
square is very small, but a parameter is still highly significant. That's possible.
Okay.
It may be explaining a small portion of variability, but it may be doing that very well. I mean, that it may be very highly significant.
But sir, while calculating temporal data, trend analysis, I have calculating for, then I have see that R square value 0.5, but it is significant in 5%.
It's possible.
But
But when
for
you
taking 20,
when you say temporal data, these are not IID data. You are not fitting
Yeah.
a regularization, right? What model are you using?
Yeah, modified exponential trend line I have fitted.
Okay, so this is not a regression model then.
No, y
Reg-
equals to
reg-
a
reg-
e to the
reg-
power bx.
So you're fitting what, a growth curve, or what are
Yeah,
you fitting?
growth curve. Yeah.
But in general, you cannot determine significance by looking at R square.
Okay.
That cannot be done.
Yeah. Okay.
You may say that large R square is more likely to give greater significance, but other than that, because R square is small, it is not significant. Such a decision cannot be taken.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
It's possible. It may be a significant feature in predicting the future values of that the variable which we are trying to, the response variable, so to say, but that does not mean that R square has to be higher than a particular value. Even at a very small R square, we can have very high significance.
Sir, just a minute. This is not a question, but it's a rejoinder, or I want your opinion. See, you have shown in one example, there are two stages of data. One is this one and this one. So in that case, can we go for mixture distributions or compound distributions?
So are you talking about the regression models that
Yes,
I
sir.
set up?
Yes. Yeah, this one. Lower one.
So tell me your question again, or your suggestion.
Can we go for compound distributions or mixture distributions and then get this mean value or whatever measures of?
So what you are saying, one way to do this in regression can be through what we call piecewise linear regression, where we assume that in different pieces we have different models. Can be done. But what you are talking about and what I am talking about are different philosophies. You are trying to explain the entire data set. I am saying that the middle part is an aberration. There is one single correct model which I will fit on the majority and I will ignore the others. Whereas you are trying to find a model which takes care of that part also.
Correct.
So I am talking about a single model. You are talking about piecewise different models. Can be done, but different philosophies. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Basu, for giving the audience a beautiful lecture on the robust statistical interference. Now, on behalf of the 7th Regional Science Congress, we want to felicitate Professor Basu, and for that I invite Professor Pradeep Kumar Shahu from the Department of Agricultural Statistics, who will felicitate Professor Basu with a small memento and a certificate. Professor Pradeep Kumar Shahu, felicitating Professor Oyonendranath Basu of ISI Kolkata for giving us a PC Mahalanabish Memorial Lecture. Thank you, sir, for joining us in this occasion.
Session on agriculture will start here.
For the delegates coming for the 7th Regional Science Congress, this is a small announcement that in this venue, we will have the session on agriculture, veterinary and fishery sciences. And that session will start from 2:30. Okay. So not 2:30, 2:45. Okay. So at sharp 2:45, delegates for the stream agriculture, veterinary and fishery sciences, please assemble together in this house and we will start that first technical session on that subject. Okay. So by 2:45, we will be starting the session and all the delegates are requested to come.